Why, hello, all you folks out there in YouTube land. Thrash Pondo here. And today I have a special treat for you. It is the eerily precognitive dystopian film Civil War. I am kidding. Hopefully. No, seriously, I'm kidding. It's actually a dystopian film set in a not too distant future US, and it's basically about the last days of a presidential administration brought down by forces within the Union itself. And I say that in an incredibly vague way because the film is actually incredibly vague about the situation itself. And I think they do that on purpose, by the way. They're not trying to further any type of political agenda or make this an allegory or turn it into some type of political science lesson. No. They're simply drawing upon cases of modern day civil wars. Not just the American Civil War, the one we already had, but civil wars in Central South America, Africa, Europe, and Asia and the Pacific Rim, or Oceania, I think we'd even like to call it. But anyway, what they do is well, long story short, it's a group of journalists in New York City who believe the war is lost, and what they're trying to do is get down to New York to film the final scrum dum, as it were. And like all good English science fiction, it's really more of a road trip than anything else. And I say English science fiction because it's brought to us by Alex Garland, probably best known for the 28 franchise days, weeks, months, years, eons, centuries, uh, box. But in any case, 28 days later, specifically. And our team, comprised of Kirsten Dunst, she's sort of the leader of the group, and she teams up with I'm gonna butcher this poor guy's name, Wagner Maru, who plays Pablo in the long-running series Narcos. Kaylee Spani of the Pacific Rim franchise, and Stefan Henderson, probably best known for his performance in the recent reboot of Dune. And they set off down the road from New York to Washington, and it's basically I like these sort of road movies because it does two things. One, it's the perfect template for the hero's journey, and two, it permits world building without a lot of clunky expositional dialogue. And in this case, there's some really cool scenes. They spend an evening in a refugee camp, which is something right out of a Steinbeck novel. They run into situations where soldiers are fighting, and it's really unclear the sides the soldiers are on, even to the soldiers themselves. There's one town which tries to break away and form a free state, which isn't exactly free. But anyway, I don't want to give too much away. But again, you see it. Mr. Henderson does a great job as the aging sage, and Miss Spani really plays it up as this sort of still innocent, bright-eyed, starstruck girl who spends about the first 20 minutes deliberately flubbing her lines just to show how starstruck she is with the veteran reporter played by Kirsten Dunst. Oh, and Wagner, he plays your typical South American badass type from the Pedro Pascali school of non-toxic masculinity. And and one thing I have to mention, Nick Offerman has a small role as the American president of the moment. And it's so funny because Offerman always plays these ice war in their vein types, deservedly or not. But he always plays the man in charge, and this he's actually playing the president, and he's like having some type of conniptions. Like you can tell, he's not only confident in how well his side is doing, On the whole, I think this is actually a really, really good film. Again, I love this sort of uh, ongoing journey where the characters actually evolve on the way. It's an oldie but a goodie, and I thought they did a fairly nice job incorporating all kinds. And you could tell, Mr. Garland spent a lot of time watching actual like CNN broadcasts and reading National Geographics to really get a feel of what a modern civil war is like, complete with its own series of atrocities. And one thing I really, really like is during the battle scenes, there's never any attempt to sort of glamorize or Hollywoodize, as it were, the fighting. There's no Wagnerian da 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 music or cool angles or people saying heroic things before they get shot. It's just this sort of very intense, chaotic action scene. Now, I will not claim to be a veteran because I'm not, so I really can't speak to what the combat situation is like. But what I will say is they don't do the traditional uh, theatric portrayal, which most veterans I've spoken to find it incredibly poor taste. The line from All Quiet on the Western Front leaps into mind. There are a couple things, however, I do want to point out. For one thing, how should I put this? There's a lot going on, and it's very well portrayed, but I'm spending the entire movie waiting for the huh. Why, who saw that coming? Why, there's some you don't see in this type of movie all the time. Sort of speaking of road movies, when I read The Road, there were a couple whiz bangs in there that you really, really don't see coming, which I must confess I'm glad they omitted from the movie. But there's a couple of rugs pulled out from under you, and you don't get that in this movie. It's very, very by the numbers. The numbers are good and all there, but again, it doesn't really give you that sort of a bang feeling that I really like to get out of a good movie. And also, while again the detachment is very very important, particularly because they're the press. They're trying to be very clinical in their portrayal of the action and not take sides. And again, I think the movie was going out of its way to not forward any type of political agenda. But at the end of the movie, you feel like, okay, did the good guys win? Did the good guys lose? So what are you saying? So what did we learn, Dorothy? Effectively, we didn't learn anything. And that's okay. It's okay not to learn as long as you enjoy. And did I enjoy? I did. And I'm going to give this movie a solid B plus. I'm going to give it a solid B plus. Go check it out. I hope you guys enjoy it. And again, are you guys interested in the furthering of the 28 franchise, by the way? This new 28 years later is intriguing on any number of levels. I have heard very little about it, but I gotta tell you, my curiosity is piqued. I don't know what happened in 28 months, but anyway, I am kind of curious. I'm also curious as to see how they get around the spoiler alert, the twist ending of 28 weeks later, which kind of, well, I'm sure they figured something out. But anyway, let me know in the comments below if you want me to continue with the works of Alex Garland. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. Be good, be safe, be careful, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all again very, 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 very soon. Peace.